The dazzling sunlight of the new day streamed through the window into the room, startling Lana awake. She glanced at the diary on her lap. Lana quickly sat up, placing the diary aside. From outside, she heard voices, making her look out. The talking grew louder, sounding like an argument. Lana turned and pulled Holly's arm. "Wake up, Holly." Holly was still tired from running errands for days. She mumbled irritably. "Ugh, let me sleep. It's too early. Let me sleep a bit more." Lana snapped at Holly. "Get up. It sounds like there's an argument outside." Holly, who loved gossip, shot up. "Where's the fight?" No sooner had Holly finished speaking than a loud voice from outside echoed directly into their room. Lana and Holly exchanged glances, then spoke in unison. "It's Mrs. Lone's voice." Without another word, they both rushed to the balcony. Lana and Holly peeked down to see Mrs. Lone, hands on her hips, yelling. "Listen, you, if I hang wet clothes, you have to deal with it. So, after I wash clothes, should I just not hang them out and let them rot in your family's grave?" As Mrs. Lone finished her tirade, the woman on the first floor wasn't about to back down. "Who are you talking about bringing shame to? You're an uneducated, inconsiderate person. You hang wet clothes directly below here. What if I walk by? People like you should just live alone." Mrs. Lone, already furious, became even more enraged at these words. She pulled off the sandal she was wearing and hurled it straight at the face of the woman on the first floor. "You dog, who are you calling uneducated and inconsiderate? I'll hang them if I want to. What are you going to do about it? You trash, eat sh*T. The woman on the first floor saw Mrs. Lone with the sandal and quickly dodged. Stepping outside, she pointed her finger at Mrs. Lone and screamed. "Let me tell you something, you type. Don't think just because you live upstairs you can do whatever you want. Your whole family is cursed. Your children and grandchildren are cursed. May your relatives be cursed like you, I curse your face. Your entire family, your whole kind, only deserves to live with dogs. Who are you throwing things at? Do you like throwing things? I'll tear you to pieces right now. Do you want to die?" Mrs. Lone upstairs wasn't backing down either, grabbing her other sandal and throwing it at the woman on the first floor. The woman on the first floor then glared defiantly at Mrs. Lone. "Come up here. I dare you to bring shame to your ancestors. You dare to show your face? Come up here and I'll beat you to death." The woman on the first floor wouldn't stand still, pulling up her shirt and running towards the stairs. Everyone nearby, seeing a big fight about to break out, shouted to stop them. The situation became increasingly tense until Mrs. Jasmine, the landlady, called out, "What are you women doing in my boarding house? Making such a racket early in the morning, do you want the police to come drag you away?" As Mrs. Jasmine spoke, everyone turned to look at her. She walked between Mrs. Lone and Mrs. Lynn. She glared at both of them, then spoke with annoyance. "Mrs. Lone, Mrs. Lynn, what are you two doing, always fighting? I'm at my wits' end with you two. All year round, you're constantly squabbling. Do you two still want to live here or not? If not, move out at the end of the month. Every few days there's an incident. Are you two not tired of constantly fighting?" No sooner had Mrs. Jasmine finished speaking than Mrs. Lynn pointed at Mrs. Lone, then turned to Mrs. Jasmine. "Look here, ma'am. I don't want to cause trouble with this woman. She hangs wet clothes, dripping water like this. How can I tolerate it downstairs? Look, it's still flowing down like a waterfall." Mrs. Lone, hearing this, retorted defiantly. "Hey, you downstairs, you'll just have to deal with it. I've been hanging clothes like this for years, and it's never been a problem. Why are you getting so agitated?" Then Mrs. Lone and Mrs. Lynn started arguing again. Mrs. Jasmine, standing in the middle, immediately shouted, "Enough! You two always arguing about clothes. Aren't you tired of it?" After saying that, Mrs. Jasmine pointed at Mrs. Lone's face. "And you too. I don't understand why every time you wash clothes, you can't wring them out properly before hanging them. You just let them drip, drip, drip. When people downstairs complain, who's going to defend you?" Mrs. Lone bowed her head and said, "I want to wring them out too, but you know my arm hurts. How can I wring them out like before?" Mrs. Lynn, standing nearby, pouted at this. But then Mrs. Jasmine pointed at Mrs. Lynn's face and said, "And you too, what are you questioning? If Mrs. Lone said her arm hurts, couldn't you just talk to each other calmly for a bit? What would you lose? Your fault here is immediately spouting off. When someone's wrong, do you think they want to admit it like that?" After Mrs. Jasmine spoke, both Mrs. Lynn and Mrs. Lone fell silent. A moment later, Mrs. Jasmine sighed. I've told you countless times you are both adults. Act in a way that the children can look up to. If you keep acting like this, what kind of example are you setting? All right, everyone disperse now. You two go back to your own rooms. Mrs. Lone, try to wring out your clothes before hanging them, and Mrs. Lynn, try to rein in your mouth. Lana and Holly, seeing the matter resolved, went back to their room and checked the clock. It was almost time for work. Lana hurriedly said, Holly, come on, it's almost time for work. We need to hurry or we'll be late. Back in their room, Lana and Holly quickly changed for work. That morning, Lana arrived at the office just in time. No sooner had she sat down at her desk than Ms. Huang emerged from her office. She immediately asked Lana, Did you enjoy your 2 days off at home? Now that you're back at work, remember to complete your tasks for me, okay? Lana cheerfully replied, Don't worry, Ms. Huang, I'll definitely finish my work. I'll do my best. Ms. Huang gently patted Lana's shoulder, then turned and left. Lana looked at the stack of files in front of her, sighed, and started working. Because of the overwhelming amount of work, Lana stayed late that evening, until her phone rang. She jumped and turned to see Holly was calling. She answered. Hello, what are you doing? Why aren't you home yet? I've already prepared dinner, and it's getting cold. After 2 days off, I have so much work I forgot the time. I'll be right there, wait a bit. Lana sped quickly on her scooter towards the boarding house. Passing an intersection, she saw a child, about 4 or 5 years old, sitting right in the middle of the road. Approaching the child, Lana said, Why are you out on the street alone tonight, little one? Sitting in the middle of the road like this, someone might not see you and hit you. The child didn't answer Lana, just lowered her head. Lana, seeing the child's unresponsive demeanor, parked her scooter and walked over to where the child was sitting. Little one, are you listening to an adult? You're sleeping in the middle of the road tonight. Do you remember where your home is? Or should I take you home? After that, Lana waited in silence, but the child still didn't say anything. Lana reached out, intending to touch the child's shoulder, but her hand simply passed right through her. Before Lana could recover, the child suddenly spun around and looked at Lana, startling her so much that she fell backward. The child's face was as white as chalk, her eye sockets dark and hollow. Her mouth now moved, speaking. You can see me. I'm dead, but you can still see me. Lana tried to regain her composure, then stammered. Are you a ghost? Why are you sitting here? The child looked at Lana with sad, dejected eyes. She lowered her face to the ground and softly murmured. I died. I was in an accident and died here. I'm sitting here waiting for my parents to pick me up, but I've been waiting for so long, and they still haven't come. Maybe they know I'm dead and don't need me anymore. I really want to go home, but no one will take me. Do you remember where your house is? If you do, I'll take you home. You can take me home, really, ma'am. Of course, it's true. I'm an adult, why would I lie to you? So where is your house so I can take you home? The child innocently pointed in one direction. My house is this way. When we get close, I'll tell you how to go. Lana turned her scooter around and told the child to get on. The child's house was on the outskirts of central Hanoi. When they reached the gate of the house, Lana looked at the child and asked, Is this really your house? Yes, it is. Thank you, ma'am. Because of you, I can go home. You are a good person. I'm sure you'll have a lot of luck in the future. Goodbye, ma'am. I'm going in now. Lana watched the child's retreating figure, feeling a sense of relief. A faint smile appeared on her face, and her heart felt warm. Behind Lana, in the distance, a shadowy figure approached. The figure walked up to Lana and a voice asked, Young lady, are you here to find the homeowners? Hello, sir. Are you a neighbor of this house? Are you looking for the couple who live here? They were in an accident and are still in a coma in the hospital. I'm looking for their child. Who else would I be looking for? Even if you go to the hospital now, isn't awake yet. Hearing the old man, Lana was startled. Now she understood. Even their parents didn't know whether she was alive or dead. Lana looked at the old man and asked, You probably don't know what happened to this couple. Since the accident, have those two still not woken up, sir? They haven't woken up yet. These two aren't from here, they bought this house. After the accident, the husband and wife were taken straight to the hospital. Their relatives from the countryside had to come up to care for them. It's truly tragic for the child's parents, who died on the spot in that accident. Their relatives took them back to their hometown for the funeral. If you're looking for that couple, go home, there's no one here anymore. Thank you, sir, I'll take my leave. Lana turned her scooter, bowing her head to the old man once more. She sped away, leaving the old man still watching her from behind. Back at the boarding house, Lana carefully leaned her scooter against a wall, then went straight to her room. Holly was sitting by a meal. Hearing the door open, Holly jumped. Is that you, finally home? Lana, you're finally home, it's been an hour. Lana forced a smile, trying to explain. I would have come right away if you called, but something happened, so I'm late. Holly looked at Lana with suspicion. What were you doing that made you so late? I need a clear explanation first. All right, let's go inside and eat. I'll tell you then. Lana pulled Holly to the dining table. While eating, Lana began to recount her encounter with Phoebe at the intersection. Are you serious? You met Phoebe at the intersection and took her home? That's what happened, which is why I'm late. The child's family has suffered so much. Her parents were also in an accident and still haven't woken up. Holly sighed, her face falling. Well, that's their fate. What can you do? I had so much work today, I kept messaging and calling you. What did you expect after 2 days off? I planned to finish it all, but I couldn't. Maybe tomorrow. Anyway, eat quickly, I still need to clean up and take a shower. After tidying the room and showering, Lana returned to bed, by which time Holly was already snoring. Lana pulled the thin blanket over Holly. She then turned and looked at Hunter's diary and began to read. September 2, 2015. After leaving Hugh and Kinh Môn village, Hunter walked along the Don River. He followed the river upstream until he reached a town. In the town, lively chatter filled the air, along with goods loudly advertised and sold. Hunter strolled around the town, examining items at each stall. Nearing noon, he stopped at a small eatery nearby. Hunter found a secluded spot in a corner, then ordered some food and began to eat. After a night and an entire morning without food, he felt completely famished. The waiter brought the food and placed it in front of Hunter. Noticing he looked unfamiliar, the waiter spoke. You must be from out of town, aren't you, sir? That's right, how did you know? Well, of course, a newcomer would be dressed like that. If it were a normal day, I wouldn't have noticed. But today is a festival and everyone is wearing traditional clothes. Dressed as you are, it's clear you're from somewhere else. Hearing this, Hunter noticed that everyone else was indeed wearing traditional clothing. He forced a smile. You're right, I am from out of town. What festival is happening here? The Long Tong Festival? This is the Long Tong Festival of the Tay people. This Long Tong Festival is also known as the Going Down to the Fields Festival. It's held to pray for rain, abundant harvests, and a prosperous, peaceful life. Hunter listened attentively to the waiter, leaning closer. The waiter continued, You're very lucky to arrive for our biggest festival. Coming at this time, you'll learn a lot about the culture and customs of our Tay people. The waiter was about to say more when someone nearby called him. The waiter then left Hunter and went over there. Looking at the small amount of food on the table, Hunter's stomach rumbled endlessly. Suddenly, 2 men approached a nearby table. They sat down and began to talk. I heard someone died in that village. They say the death was terrifying, like half the body was missing, only half was found. They said it was hanging from a tree. The man sitting opposite, perhaps the village head, spoke up. What's strange about that? That village has always been under a curse. Good thing we're not from there. The conversation between these 2 men also caught Hunter's attention. He walked over to them and greeted them. Excuse me, may I listen in for a moment? Are you from out of town? Ah, yes, I am from elsewhere. If you don't mind me saying, I was sitting at that other table just now, but your conversation sounded so interesting, I wanted to come over and hear more. The 2 men looked around, then whispered. We dare not speak of it. That village is too terrifying. No one has dared to go there. Even children shouldn't try to learn about such things. Seeing that the 2 men didn't want to elaborate, Hunter didn't press further. He bid them farewell and returned to his table. Just then, he felt the gaze of a man watching him. The man had a sharp, penetrating stare. Hunter glanced at the man, then looked away. The man's piercing gaze continued to follow Hunter's retreating figure. Young man, have you found a room or a place to stop for dinner? A man in his early 50s spoke to Hunter. Hunter bowed his head. I'm looking for a room for rent. Do you have one available? Ah, yes, I do. You're in luck. My house has exactly one room left upstairs. It's a bit small, but it's perfect for one person. Before Hunter could decide, the landlord continued. To be honest with you, finding a room now is very difficult. Today is the biggest festival of the year, and many people from other places have flocked here, filling everything up. I see you're from out of town, so you might not understand the situation, which is why I'm explaining it to you. What made Hunter hesitate to answer the landlord wasn't that the room was small, but rather the unsettling man who had been watching him with a sharp gaze earlier that day. Who was that man who was now leaving the boarding house? Hunter nodded and said to the landlord, "Then, please reserve this room for me. I'll take this room tonight." You're smart to listen to me. Normally, I rent this room for 100 per night, but because it's the festival, it's 200 tonight, okay. The man cheerfully took Hunter's payment. Hunter turned and walked towards the stairs. Behind him, the landlord added, "By the way, my guest house has an eatery on the first floor. If you need a meal, just come down. Everyone here enjoys their meals in the common area." "I know, I'll come down if I need anything." Back in his room, Hunter lay down on the bed to rest. He slept soundly until late afternoon. Waking up at 8 p.m., he left his room. Outside, it was already dark. People moved about bustlingly. The evening festival had many different activities. People lit bonfires and danced, and stalls displayed a dazzling array of goods. Hunter walked around, enjoying the sights until late at night. Only then did he return to the guest house. The first floor of the guest house was crowded. Hunter looked around for a while before finding an empty seat by the window. He walked over, sat down, and ordered food from the landlord. Just then, a shadowy figure of a man walked in through the door. Hunter turned to look, recognizing him as the man who had stared at him earlier that day. Surprisingly, the man walked over to Hunter. He said, "You can sit here. I'm sitting alone, there's no one else sitting here." The man nodded at Hunter and sat down opposite him. Hunter looked at the man in front of him and asked, "Hello, I've ordered quite a lot of food. Would you like to join me for dinner?" The man looked at Hunter with surprise. "What did you say?" Hunter cheerfully handed the man a pair of chopsticks and a bowl. "Please, eat, don't be shy. I ordered a lot, I can't finish it all by myself." The man accepted the bowl and chopsticks from Hunter, then hesitated. "Perhaps you're new here, so you don't know. Everyone here avoids people from my village. Really, why be afraid of that? We're all just people." "But why are people afraid of your village?" The man hesitated, half wanting to speak, half not. Seeing this, Hunter said, "If it's something difficult to talk about, you don't have to tell me. I never force anyone into an uncomfortable situation." The man looked at Hunter. "It's not that I don't want to tell you, it's that I'm afraid if I tell you about my village, it will scare you." "What's there to be afraid of? Don't worry, I've never been afraid of anything." At this, the man felt somewhat relieved. He looked at Hunter and began to speak. Around their table, the other customers had already left as the landlord had turned off more than half the lights. The scene felt as if it were just for the two of them. The man raised his wine cup to Hunter, then began to narrate. "I haven't introduced myself. I am Henry, born and raised in Kinh Môn village. And this morning, you heard those two men talking about a village where someone died, right? That was my village. And I saw you asking them about my village. I didn't step forward then because everyone here is afraid of us. In other words, they're afraid of our misfortune rubbing off on them." "Why are people afraid of your village?" "This goes back a long way. Since I was born, my village has been under a curse." "A curse?" "Yes, this curse has been with us since my ancestors' time. My village used to be like any other, peaceful and tranquil. Then, one year a plague struck, and more people died from it. Our village shaman said that we had angered the spirits, which was why the plague raged. The only way to lift it was through a sacrifice. So, the elders in our village decided to make a human sacrifice to appease the spirits. For this sacrifice, the village chose a young girl, no older than 16, and she had to be a virgin. The whole village chose one girl to be the sacrifice. It's said that the family of the chosen girl refused. They tried to fight against the villagers, but the entire village overpowered them, and the father was beaten to death on the spot. The daughter, witnessing her father's death before her eyes, was filled with burning hatred. She vowed that all women in the village would live alone, and no man in the village would live past 35 years old. She said that any man who reached 35 would suffer terrifying deaths. Henry shook his head and sighed as he finished this part of the story. Hunter, seeing the helplessness etched on Henry's face, asked, "So, from then until now, your village has been living under that curse?" Henry looked at Hunter, then shook his head with a bitter smile. The clink of wine glasses echoed in the quiet space. It was late now. Outside, no one was left on the street, and the guesthouse door had been closed by the landlord. Henry then continued, "How else can my villagers live? Perhaps this is the karma my village has to bear." Hunter looked at Henry, then around them and said, "Then, why doesn't everyone leave that village? If leaving the cursed village could free them from the curse, why not?" Of course, it's not like my villagers haven't thought of it. A few people did leave the village, but their fates were extremely tragic. That's why, since then, no one has dared to abandon our village. Hunter fell silent, pondering. It was very possible that in addition to cursing Henry's villagers, the girl also cursed anyone who tried to abandon the village. Hunter looked at Henry, then hesitated. "Has your village not thought of any way to break the girl's curse?" Henry shook his head and sighed. "My villagers have tried everything, but they haven't been able to break the curse. Even the shaman who conducted the sacrifice died during the ritual itself. Can you take me back to your village? What if I can break the curse?" Henry looked at Hunter with suspicion. "No, I can't. We've just met. I can't let you put yourself in danger for me. Many shamans have already come to perform rituals. Some were in the middle of performing and suddenly spat blood and died. Some died before they even started. Others died right after finishing. Because of this, my villagers no longer dare to invite any shamans." Hunter smiled and replied, "Don't worry. I want to help your villagers because it's in my heart. Just take me to your village. If anything happens to me, no one needs to feel guilty. This is all voluntary, so don't hesitate." Henry looked at Hunter with admiration. "I truly don't know what to say. Because of you, I'm truly grateful. Thank you for helping our village." Hunter cheerfully patted Henry's shoulder. "It's nothing. Helping you and your villagers is also helping me. So, when can we go to your village?" "Tomorrow. Tomorrow, after I finish selling my goods at the festival, I'll take you back to my village. If everyone knows there's a shaman coming to lift the curse, they'll be overjoyed." Hunter agreed to return to the village with Henry the next afternoon. That night, he returned to his room. Outside the guest house, thunder rumbled, accompanied by the chirping of crickets. In Hunter's room, still under the influence of alcohol, he slept soundly on his bed. Outside in the hallway, footsteps echoed as a man's shadow moved down the corridor and out of the guest house, slowly disappearing into the night. The next morning, Hunter woke up not feeling well. He stretched and got out of bed. Outside, shouts and a gathering crowd piqued Hunter's curiosity. He stepped out the door and met Henry approaching. "Henry, didn't you say you were going to the festival to sell goods today? Why are you still here?" Henry's face was filled with sadness as he replied, "Something terrible has happened, Hunter. I have to pack up and go back to the village." "What happened, Henry? You seem so distressed. Did something happen in your village?" "Something did happen, but not in the village itself. Come with me." Henry gestured for Hunter to follow him. The two quickly went down to the first floor of the guest house and then out to the crowd. Henry led Hunter into the throng. Before Hunter stood a corpse, but it wasn't whole. Its arms, legs, and head were missing. As Hunter finished observing, he saw fragments of flesh scattered nearby. He looked at Henry, perplexed. "Henry is this person from our village. This man is named Kevin. He just turned 35. I can't believe Kevin died here." Hunter turned to look at the body on the ground. Indeed, this person had died a brutal death, their body torn into many pieces scattered in various places. Hunter, a shaman who had seen many horrors, couldn't help but feel a pang of anger at the sight of this corpse. That day, Henry and Hunter waited for the police investigation to conclude, then came forward as acquaintances. Kevin's body was taken back to the village by the police for his family. That day, wailing cries echoed beside the flickering fire. Henry sighed and said, "Hunter, this is Kinh Môn village now. My village used to have many households, but as more and more people died, families just gradually dwindled. The villagers couldn't leave because of the curse that prevented them from escaping. As such, the number of people in the village kept decreasing. Henry's village is nestled deep within the forest, and the path leading to it is extremely difficult. Do you remember the path leading into your village from outside? there isn't another village settlement here besides Henry's. This surprised Hunter quite a bit. Hunter asked, "Besides your village, are there any other villages living around here?" Henry shook his head and said, "In the past, there was another village nearby. It took about half a day's walk to get there. But then, when they heard about the many strange things happening in our village, the people in Dao Kong village started to leave, and eventually, no one lived there anymore." Henry then asked Hunter, "You've been here since this morning. Do you know what ultimately caused these deaths?" The villagers have tried sending people to follow families with men over 35 to see how these deaths occurred. But strangely, whenever someone was being watched, those men didn't move. Most of the men over 35 died when no one was around, and no one understood why. As Henry spoke, Hunter realized the problem. To resolve this, I need to take the lead personally. Only I can find a solution to this curse. He looked at Henry and said softly, "Henry, I think you should let me investigate this for a while. Also, please don't mention that I'm here to help everyone just yet. I want to investigate thoroughly before you make any announcements." Henry heard this and was a bit confused. "Why do it that way? I feel like there's something illogical about this. I don't know how to explain it, but I think I need to investigate on my own first." Although Henry didn't understand why Hunter wanted to do this, he put his full trust in him. "If you say so, I'll follow your lead. If you need any help, just say the word and I'll do my best." While Hunter and Henry were still talking, an old woman approached from a distance. This woman was Mrs. White, Henry's mother. Mrs. White, now over 60, walked up to Henry and Hunter and asked, "Still sad? You two haven't gone to sleep yet. Whatever it is, it can wait until tomorrow." Henry turned to look at Mrs. White. "Mother, you should rest first. Hunter and I will take you to bed shortly." Henry returned and continued his conversation with Hunter. Hunter looked at Henry and spoke, "Do you know where they sacrificed the girl? And her house, does it still exist?" Henry looked at Hunter, puzzled. He asked, "Why do you want to find her house?" "To investigate, of course. How can you catch a tiger cub without going into the tiger's den?" Henry, understanding Hunter's intention, replied, "I know where the sacrifice took place. The girl's house is somewhere in the village. After everyone realized the girl's curse was real, no one in the village dared to go near that house anymore. I remember all the surrounding families moved away. If you want, I'll take you there tomorrow." Hunter nodded. "Great, tomorrow morning we'll go there and investigate." Hunter suddenly paused. He looked intently at Henry. He reached out and touched Henry's face, hesitating. "What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? Is there something on my face?" "Ah, no, it's not dust on your face. But how old are you this year?" At the mention of his age, Henry's face saddened. He sighed. "As of today, I'm 34 years and 11 months old. If the girl's curse is truly accurate, in just one more month, I might also end up like them." Hunter placed a hand on Henry's shoulder, looking directly into his eyes. "Don't worry, I won't let this happen to you or anyone else. Trust me, I will solve everything." Henry laughed heartily, patted Hunter's shoulder and said, "I just said that to you. I've always taken death lightly, just living each day happily. Why dwell on sorrow? And now with you here, I'm sure you won't be like the others who came before. I'm sure you'll find a way to break this curse." That night, Hunter was sitting on his bed when a cold gust of wind suddenly blew in from outside. Beyond the window, a girl with long, disheveled hair appeared, staring intently at Hunter. Although Hunter saw her, he pretended not to. The girl glanced over Hunter, then turned and left. As soon as the girl was gone, Hunter jumped up and went to the window to look outside. Before him, the girl glided across the ground. Behind her, many other spirits followed. While Hunter was observing this group, the girl suddenly turned back to look at him. She gave a horrifying smile, a smile that seared deep into Hunter's mind, startling him awake. He sat up, rubbing his face, knowing that the dream he just had was a warning from that girl. Hunter shook his head with a wry smile. Perhaps his arrival had disturbed her. Could it be that she didn't want strangers in the village, so she deliberately tried to scare him? Mrs. White then entered the room. "This morning I cooked breakfast. Hurry up and eat with my mother and me. I'm also hungry. Go ahead and wash your face first." Hunter, now with a clean face, quickly went into the house. After breakfast, Hunter and Henry began their plan. Henry led Hunter down a small path, then pointed forward. "Do you see that house over there? That's the girl's house." Following Henry's pointing hand, Hunter saw a small house almost entirely overgrown with tall grass. Hunter looked at the grass, which reached his head, and couldn't help but sigh. At this moment, Henry walked ahead of Hunter, holding a long-bladed machete. No one has dared to come here for a long time, which is why the grass has grown so tall. Let me go ahead and clear a path for you. With all these thorny plants and the low sun, it's easy to trip and fall. With each swing of the machete, a loud thwack echoed, and after a while, Hunter and Henry reached the house. Henry sighed and said, "It's been decades, and this house has been preserved remarkably well. What do you think about going inside?" Hunter nodded and said, "Of course, we have to go in. I'll go inside first, you wait out here for me." Henry looked at Hunter and said, "Don't you need me to come inside with you? Take this machete with you. If you encounter any wild animals inside, you'll have something to defend yourself with." Hunter looked at Henry and asked, "What about you then? What will you use to defend yourself out here?" "Don't worry about me. There's nothing I haven't experienced since I was a child. You just worry about yourselves, take this, and rest assured I have my own ways to handle things out here." Hunter took the machete from Henry and began to enter. Reaching the door, he gently pushed it open. The door immediately fell off its hinges. Henry stood outside, watching and shaking his head. "Easy there. I forgot to tell you, this house is completely rotted. Be careful, or something might collapse on your head." Hunter didn't reply, continuing inside. Before him was an old, dilapidated house. Hunter could sense that the house could collapse at any moment. He walked around the house, searching for any information, but the house offered nothing. After several rounds inside without finding a single clue, he suddenly noticed something at the base of a wall. Approaching, he saw a bronze seal. It looked like an incense burner but was solid. This seal was only the size of a fist. Hunter could feel that inside the seal contained some kind of power. He put the seal in his bag and continued searching. Suddenly, Hunter tripped over something, causing him to fall. Looking down, he discovered a round, protruding object. He grabbed it and pulled with all his might, but couldn't budge it. Using the machete in his hand, he plunged it forcefully into the earth to dig around the object. It took a long time for Hunter to finally pull the object out of the ground. Just as he pulled it free, a strong gust of wind erupted from outside the gate, kicking up a cloud of dust. Hunter raised a hand to shield his face. His eyes were wide, barely able to see the blurry figure in front of him. He detected the shadow of the girl passing by, accompanied by a sharp, piercing laugh. The girl's shadow stopped in front of Hunter, and she gave a sinister smile. "This is not a place for you." Although the dust inside the house was now very thick, Hunter could still vaguely see the girl's silhouette. He looked at the girl and spoke firmly. "No one can chase me away." "You're very brave. If you're not afraid of me killing you, you're just like these people in this village. None of you will ever live in peace." The girl's laugh grew louder and louder within the house. Along with the laughter, the wind outside intensified, causing the house to shake violently. Outside, Henry was waiting for Hunter. Seeing the house suddenly shaking, he rushed inside. He grabbed Hunter's arm and pulled him out quickly. "This house is about to collapse." "Hunter, wait." Henry pulled Hunter outside, then looked at him anxiously. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." Henry saw that Hunter was still able to smile, so he could only sigh. He said, "Didn't you see the house was about to collapse? Why were you still standing in there? If I hadn't come in time, you might have been buried under the rubble." Hunter smiled wryly. "Don't worry, I'm still alive and well." He held up the object he had pulled from the ground to examine what it was. It was a bronze sword. The scabbard was made of wood, adorned with intricate carvings. Looking at the hilt, Hunter felt as if it resembled the leg of some animal. However, Hunter couldn't quite place it. Henry saw the sword in Hunter's hand, walked over, and asked, "Did you find this sword in there?" "Yes. Do you know its origin? This sword seems a bit strange." Henry shook his head. "I don't know about this. It's probably just a common sword that people used in the past." Looking at the house, Henry immediately asked again, "Do you still want to search for anything else here? If not, I'll take you to the site of the sacrifice." Hunter nodded, and together with Henry, they left the house. As Hunter turned his back, the collapsed house suddenly shook. The broken pieces unexpectedly flew up, reforming the house as it was before. From inside the house, the girl stepped out, angrily looking at the two men, and her piercing laughter began to echo. "How far is it from here to the sacrifice site?" "It's about a 30-minute walk, Henry. It's right at the top of the hill. My mother told me that's where the sacrifice took place. No one has been up there for a very long time." Hunter followed Henry as he led the way up the hill. Because it was a hillside path and there had been heavy rain last night, walking was difficult. It took Henry almost an hour to bring Hunter to the old sacrifice site. The sacrifice site was a wide piece of land on top of the hill. In the very center stood a large stone pillar, about the size a person could hug. At each of the four corners were smaller stone pillars. Henry pointed to the central stone pillar and said, "This is where the sacrifice took place, where the girl was tied to the large stone pillar." He said the shaman used a sharp knife to cut the girl's throat, causing blood to flow. He didn't witness how the ritual unfolded, only hearing his ancestors recount it. Hunter nodded at Henry, silently observing. Suddenly, Hunter's head began to spin and illusions appeared. He saw a large ritual before him. The girl was tied to the central stone pillar. Heart-wrenching cries echoed all around. Before Hunter's eyes were two people, a man and a woman, being held back by several others. The man reached out, shouting louder and louder, "No, don't harm the child. Please, everyone, spare her. Please, I beg you, spare our child." Next to the man, 5 women knelt, crying, "Our daughter has done nothing wrong. Please spare her. I will take her place as the sacrifice. Please, just spare her. You can do anything you want, just spare our child." After their pleading, another voice boomed, "No, you chose your daughter to be the sacrifice, so follow through. Hold him back and tie him down so he doesn't disrupt the shaman's ritual." Standing beside the shaman was an elderly man, probably in his 60s. This man held a staff topped with a wild boar's head. In front of the boar's head were 2 curved tusks, along with many other ritualistic items wrapped in cloth. The old man walked solemnly to the altar, then began to dance before the girl. Below, the girl's parents became even more frantic. The man struggled, trying to rush forward and save his daughter. "No, I must save my daughter. You cannot harm my daughter." The more he screamed, the more enraged he became. He pushed aside the people holding him and lunged towards his daughter. Just as the man broke free, the old man from before shouted, "Tie him up again, beat him to death. We cannot let him disrupt the ritual." As the man reached the girl, 2 young men ran up from behind. Each held a thick club and repeatedly struck the man's head, killing him instantly. Blood streamed from his mouth and nose, dripping onto the ground. The wife, seeing her husband beaten, struggled to break free and ran towards him. "Husband, are you dead? You monsters, you're not human, you're a bunch of devils. Husband, wait for me. You're dead, our daughter is dead. What's left for me in this life?" the woman said, then bit her tongue and died on the spot. The girl, witnessing her parents' deaths before her eyes, could no longer maintain her composure. She laughed maniacally, then began to curse everyone present, cursing those who had harmed her. However, Hunter could not hear her curse. He only saw the girl screaming, but he couldn't understand what she was saying. Suddenly, a chilling laugh echoed in Hunter's mind. Hunter turned, and the girl who had been tied to the stone pillar was now gone. Everyone around was also gone. Instead, the girl now stood right in front of Hunter. Her face was covered in blood, and her eyes seemed to bulge out. From her mouth, a thick black liquid, like mud, oozed out. She bared her blackened teeth at Hunter and laughed shrilly. "They all deserve to die. Get out of this village immediately." "Retribution, that is the retribution they must receive." The girl laughed maniacally, then vanished. Hunter felt his face darken, then he collapsed. Everything around him returned to reality. Henry, who had been looking around, rushed over when he saw Hunter collapse. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," Hunter said, then sat down to compose himself. A moment ago, he had almost lost his soul to the girl. The scene he had just witnessed filled Hunter with pity. It was also the moment he was least on guard, giving the girl an opportunity to strike. After regaining his composure, Hunter stood up and looked around. He inspected all 4 surrounding stone pillars, then walked to the central pillar. Hunter touched the stone pillar, examining it. Suddenly, he noticed something rough at the base of the pillar. He knelt down to look closer. Carved into the stone pillar was a symbol that Hunter couldn't understand for now. He took out his notebook and began to copy the symbols. He searched all around but found nothing else unusual. Hunter and Henry began to head back. The sun was already setting, and the road was crowded. However, the path to Henry's house was shaded by tall trees, protecting them from the strong afternoon sun. That afternoon, Hunter asked Henry for more information about the men over 35 years old. Henry told Hunter their ages, then said, "What do you need their ages for? I want to try and observe these men to find out how they die and what causes their deaths. This won't work. The entire village has been staking out for 3 years, but no one has found any cause. Hunter smiled, brushing aside Henry's words. Instead, he gently explained. Do you know why no one ever found anything when they watched them? It's simple. Everyone else is just an ordinary person, but I am a shaman. Of course, I have ways to follow those men over 35. Henry, hearing Hunter say this, nodded in understanding. He said, What you say is true. Before, the villagers would take turns watching, but no one ever discovered anything. Perhaps it's because we're just ordinary people and we can't do things like you. Henry sighed, looking out. Hunter looked at the information for men over 35. There were only 2 men who had recently passed 35, still early in the process. Hunter looked at Henry. Tonight, will you take me to these men's houses? The person Hunter pointed to was named Herbert. Here, he's exactly 35 years and 14 days old now. That means he's past the critical time mark. Henry looked at the name Hunter pointed to and spoke. Herbert? What about Herbert's house? What's going on? I want to observe this man. Of the 2 men you told me about, one turns 35 tonight, and the other has passed it by 14 days. So, let's observe this man first. Henry nodded, agreeing with Hunter. He said, All right, what time do you want to go? After dinner tonight, we'll go straight away, to avoid any incidents before we arrive. Outside the window, Mrs. White walked up with a tray of food. Her face looked somewhat worried. Here, eat dinner. Today, I couldn't buy anything good, so just eat what we have, okay? Hunter replied, Thank you, Grandma. I'm easy to please. I'll eat whatever you give me. Mrs. White smiled faintly at Hunter, then turned to Henry, her face sinking. Tears welled up in her eyes. Eat well. There's not much time left. Your father died when he was 35, and now I can't do anything for you either. As Mrs. White said this, tears streamed down her face. She turned and walked back inside. Hunter watched Mrs. White, filled with worry for Henry, and thought of the other families in the village who must have gone through similar anguish. He shook his head and sighed. He was determined to rescue the people here. That day, after dinner, Henry and Hunter went to Herbert's house. Inside, a dim light was still on, and 2 women, one old and one young, were moving about. A young man sat at the table with drinks, likely Herbert. Henry turned to Hunter and spoke. Why don't we just go straight into the house? What are we doing lurking outside? Hunter took a yellow talisman from his bag. He held it in front of him and began to chant a spell. After finishing, he handed it to Henry and said, Stick this talisman on your back. What does this talisman do when stuck on the back? This talisman is called the soul concealment charm, and it hides your physical body and soul. In other words, it makes you invisible to spirits. If my theory is correct and the girl is causing this, we cannot let her see us. Only then can we follow this man. Henry nodded at Hunter, then placed the talisman on his back. The house before them was now completely dark. Henry turned to Hunter and asked, The lights are off inside. What do we do now? Wait, just wait, Henry mumbled, then continued to watch the house in front of them. That night, Henry, Hunter, and his family waited until the first rays of sunlight appeared, then headed back home. After a sleepless night, Hunter felt utterly exhausted. Upon reaching the house, he suddenly heard shouts from outside. A young girl ran towards them from a distance. Henry saw the girl and called out, Daisy, what happened? Why are you shouting so early in the morning? Daisy stopped short. Daisy's face was pale. She pointed towards the hill and said, Henry, on the hill someone died. It was a terrifying death. As Daisy said this, Henry immediately turned to Hunter. Hunter nodded. Henry asked Daisy, Have you told anyone about this yet? No, I was so scared that I ran down to warn everyone. He's right on the hill above my house. Go up and see. All right, you go down and tell everyone and we'll go up there. Daisy nodded and quickly ran down to the village. Henry and Hunter went up to the hill above Daisy's house. When they reached the hill, Henry and Hunter saw a body lying beneath a tea tree. Henry recognized the body as David, who had just turned 35. Henry looked at Hunter. That's David. Hunter nodded in understanding and approached to examine the corpse more closely. The body was bloated with blisters, and his face was horribly disfigured. Hunter remembered seeing this man just the morning before, perfectly normal, with no visible symptoms. It was impossible for such a terrible disfigurement to occur in just one day. A moment later, more and more villagers arrived. They shouted, wanting to bring David's body home. Everyone present was disheartened. In the crowd, Hunter noticed Herbert standing nearby. Perhaps Herbert was the most worried of all. Following the villagers, Hunter went back down to the village. David's body was returned to his family, who consisted of a devoted wife and a young child. Witnessing the family's heart-wrenching cries, Hunter felt a deep sense of compassion. He sighed, then he and Henry returned home. Upon arriving home, Mrs. White was waiting at the door. She looked at Henry and asked, "Who died, son?" Henry shook his head and said, "It's David, mother. He died on the tea hill. Everyone just brought his body back." Mrs. White sighed, then turned and walked back into the house. Both Henry and Hunter knew that Mrs. White was worried for Henry, as he was the next to turn 35. Henry looked at Hunter, then gently patted his shoulder. He said, "Let it be. We'll face whatever comes. You and I were up all night. Now let's go inside and get some sleep. I'm really tired." After witnessing the sorrowful scene at David's home, Hunter's sleepiness vanished. He was determined to find a way to break this curse. Inside Henry's house, Hunter immediately went to the bed. He took out the items he found in the sacrificed girl's house, along with his notebook of copied symbols. He sat studying the symbols until late afternoon, but still couldn't understand what was written on them. Mrs. White saw Hunter engrossed for almost an entire day and came over to ask, "What are you doing, spending all day sitting with these things?" Hunter heard Mrs. White's voice and turned around. "I'm trying to understand these things. I found these items in the house of the sacrificed girl." Mrs. White looked at the bronze sword and seal, finding them somewhat familiar. She then said, "If I remember correctly, this is the shaman's sword, and this bronze seal also belonged to them. I once saw the shaman perform a ritual, and they had similar items." Hunter, hearing Mrs. White say this, asked, "These items really belong to the shaman?" Mrs. White nodded. "Yes, they did. The younger generation wouldn't know because the last shaman in this village died 30 years ago, but older people like us recognize them." A thought suddenly sparked in Hunter's mind. What if all these events are connected to the shaman? If I can understand the meaning of these symbols, I might have a chance to save everyone. Just then, Henry woke up. Hunter turned to Henry. "Henry, do you know where the shaman who performed the sacrifice for the girl lived?" "Of course I do. Why do you ask?" Outside, the sky was turning to dusk. Hunter turned to Henry. "I'll explain later. For now, let me go to the shaman's house." On the way to the shaman's house, Henry was now fully awake. He asked, "Why do you suddenly want to go to the shaman's house? Is something going on there?" Hunter nodded and replied, "I think this is connected to the shaman from that year. Think about it, why did the shaman's sword and bronze seal appear in the sacrificed girl's house? I feel there's something suspicious, so we need to go to the shaman's house." The shaman's house wasn't far from Henry's house. In just a few minutes, Hunter and Henry arrived at the house. Looking at the small house, Hunter felt that there was something unsettling about it. A chilling sensation arose. Hunter looked at Henry and said, "You wait out here for me, I'm going inside." Hunter then slowly stepped inside. The interior of the house gradually became clear. Although old, the house was dilapidated from years of neglect. However, many items were still on the walls. Many things were hung up along with various other objects. Hunter walked around the house, searching, then stopped at a wooden chest. The wooden chest was locked, so he searched around until he found a nearby stone, which he used to smash the padlock. Inside the wooden chest, Hunter found many miscellaneous items, but as he searched further, a book caught his eye. The cover of this book had symbols identical to those Hunter had copied from the stone pillar, so he immediately took the book and opened it. Inside the book were intricate symbols. Hunter couldn't decipher their meaning. But then he turned to the next page, and before his eyes appeared a line of ancient hand script, which he had studied at the temple before. He began to murmur the words. After reading the book, Hunter was shocked to learn that it described a method of demon rearing. This demon rearing method was extremely cruel, and the chosen subject had to be a virgin girl. Furthermore, the girl chosen for demon rearing would be beheaded, and her head would be used to cultivate the demon. This demon rearing process would take 49 days, also known as that too coup. Once cultivated, the demon would officially obey the demon rearing master, becoming extremely powerful. However, this demon rearing was incredibly dangerous because the girl carried immense resentment. If the practitioner's magical power was insufficient, they could very well be killed by their own demon during the cultivation. Hunter put the book back in his bag. He walked around and found a human figurine placed inside another wooden box. This wooden box was hidden by the shaman in a hole in the corner of the wall. Hunter put the human figurine back in the box, then followed Henry outside. Reaching Henry's side, Hunter spoke. I have something to tell you, Henry, about this. Do you know where the sacrificed girl's body was kept that year? Henry nodded and replied, I only heard people say that the shaman took the girl's body home. After that, no one heard anything more from the shaman about it, and everyone was only concerned with escaping the plague. No one cared about the girl's body. Hunter fell silent, pondering. Suddenly, a thought came to him. What if there was no curse at all? What if all the people who died were actually killed by that girl? That year, the shaman took her body to cultivate a demon. But because her parents' deaths happened right before her eyes, her resentment soared. That's why the shaman who cultivated the demon was instead killed by her. This would also explain why men in the village died different deaths once they turned 35, and why the girl never acted when someone was watching those men over 35. That was the most logical explanation at this moment. Suddenly, Herbert's name came to mind. He urgently said, This isn't good. You told me that if someone who's 35 isn't monitored for 15 days, no one follows them anymore, right? That's right. Why? I'm afraid Herbert might be in danger. Let's go to his house now. We'll put the soul concealment charm on your back to prevent anything from seeing us. That night, Hunter and Henry staked out Herbert's house. At midnight, a girl's shadow approached from a distance. Although it was dark, Hunter recognized her as the girl from his illusion the other day. The girl went into the house. Then both the girl and Herbert came out of the house. Henry turned to Hunter. Herbert is outside now. Should we follow them? He's already been taken. Ordinary people can't see her, but with my spiritual sight, I can see clearly as day. Let's follow Herbert and see what this demon ultimately wants to do. Hunter and Henry ran behind Herbert. The demon led Herbert to a stream bank. Herbert walked like a zombie, step by step. The girl followed closely behind him. She reached out her hand towards Herbert, intending to push him into the water. Just then, Hunter lunged from behind, quickly grabbing Herbert and pulling him towards Henry. He shouted, Henry, take Herbert. He's been soul-snatched, don't let the demon control him. Henry rushed over from a distance. Herbert, over here. Hunter looked at the female demon. You can stop now. Many people have died. How much longer do you want this to continue? The girl, who had just appeared before Hunter, was slightly startled. All the way here, she hadn't detected Hunter. The girl then smiled a chilling smile at Hunter and said, Why should I listen to you? I will make all the men who killed my family die. Their wives, their children, their old mothers must witness their loved ones meet their end without being able to do anything. Hunter knew the girl's resentment had reached its peak. He shook his head. That's the past. All the people involved are already dead. Why do you keep harming those who know nothing of it? They are only later generations. They didn't harm your family. Listen to me. Let go. Only then can your karma truly end. I will never stop. They all must die. Their ancestors killed my family, killed my father, forced my mother to bite her tongue and commit suicide. I won't spare them. If you insist on helping them, I'll kill you too. After saying this, the girl lunged at Hunter to attack. Hunter immediately pulled out a wooden sword and mumbled a spell. He rushed towards the demon and attacked. The two figures fought back and forth for a long time, neither gaining an advantage. Suddenly, the demon extended her claw and snatched the wooden sword from Hunter's hand. With a twist of her body, she snapped the wooden sword in half. The demon looked at Hunter, laughing maniacally. Let's see what you'll fight me with now. The demon shook her head, then lunged at Hunter to attack. Hunter turned and fled, trying to dodge the female demon's blows. He quickly pulled out a golden mirror from his bag and shone its light towards the demon. From inside the mirror, a beam of golden light appeared. As this light hit the demon, that spot immediately hissed and sizzled like frying meat. The demon immediately screamed in agony. She raised her hands to shield her face, crying out, My flesh, my hands, my face, it hurts so much. Seeing the girl in pain, Hunter immediately retracted the mirror. He looked at the demon and spoke, Do you still want to fight? The demon, her face filled with resentment, looked at Hunter. Why are you helping them? Why did they kill my family? They were the ones who killed my family. Hunter sighed, shaking his head. He looked at the demon and said, I'm not helping anyone. I want both you and everyone in this village. I just want to end this feud here. Those people are not guilty. The truly guilty one here is the shaman who deceived everyone in the village into killing you and cultivating a demon. You still recognize this, don't you? Hunter turned and picked up the wooden box, opening it. He looked at the human head inside the box. The girl burst into tears. My head. How do you have it? This box was originally sealed by the shaman with a spell. That's why you couldn't find it for so many years. Now, you can finally reunite with your precious remains. I will help you reunite this head with your body. But you must promise me to abandon your resentment and return to the afterlife to accept your punishment. If you don't listen, then I will have no choice but to destroy you. The people living in the village are innocent. But on that day, those present at the sacrifice. When will this cycle of retribution ever end? The girl looked at Hunter, then wept even harder. After a long while, she nodded and said, "All right, I'll listen to you and let go of this resentment. I will descend to the underworld to undergo reincarnation, and you will reunite my head with the rest of my body. Thank you." The girl bowed to Hunter, then vanished. Hunter closed the wooden box, then turned to Herbert. He placed a hand firmly on Herbert's forehead, making him wake up. After that, Hunter and Henry took Herbert home. The next day, Hunter, Henry, and some villagers went to the shaman's house and began to dig. It took a long time for Hunter and everyone else to find the burial place of the sacrificed girl's body. Hunter placed the head with the girl's body, then gave her a proper burial. The villagers, hearing that Hunter had broken the curse, organized a celebration feast outside the village gate. Henry looked at Hunter. "Do you really have to leave?" Hunter smiled and replied, "Every feast must eventually end. From now on, you and the villagers won't have to worry about the girl's curse anymore. I still have my own path to follow, so I can't stay here. If fate allows, we will meet again." Hunter waved goodbye to Henry, then turned and walked away. His figure grew smaller and smaller on the main road. Henry looked at Hunter, then shouted, "May you always be safe on your path. We will meet again." Hunter didn't turn back. He smiled, a smile of happiness, carrying a sense of peace within him.